It's the third place Columbus went to in his first voyage. He went to the island. It was populated by Native Americans called Taino. They were a type of Arawak Indian. He goes back to Spain. He wrote a letter to the Queen because he knew it was going to take him a little bit of time to get to her before, for the debrief purpose. And he said, the Taino are the kindest, gentlest, most hospitable people I've ever met in my life. A few men with swords could make slaves of them all. And so for those of you who are confused, was Columbus an explorer? No. He was a conquistador. Don't be confused. There's no confusion here. He came back the next year, 1493, and he established the first permanent European outpost in the Americas. And that triggers, one of the greatest genocides in human history. You're going to see different numbers on this, but probably in 1492, there was about 140 million people living in the Americas. So this sort of ridiculous notion that there was two empty continents and we got really lucky is truthfully the exact opposite of what happened. There were two totally occupied continents, and then Europeans proceeded to genocide them. Having said that, some of them began to shift policy, because initially Columbus enslaved the Taino. I keep hearing the Taino are gone. They're not gone. There's still a community of Taino left, but they were nearly wiped out. 90+% were destroyed. And as the Europeans were crushing the native populations through slavery, they then began to shift to African slavery. So Columbus renamed the island Haiti. He renamed it Hispaniola, right? Because he's like Adam in the Garden of Eden. He can just rename things. And then when the Spanish kind of reconsider how they're going to run the island, they rename it Santo Domingo. And then the French come along and they took an island just north of, it's part of Haiti today, it's just north of the island called Tortuga. And they were actually using it as like a brigand outpost. They were doing piracy and lots of illegal activities, but then as time went by, they sort of normalized their activities, and eventually they talked the Spanish into giving them the western edge of the island, the western 25% of it, really just the coastline. And then they called it Saint Domingue, St. Dominic, Santo Domingo, Saint Domingue. Interestingly enough, today on that island, it's still called Hispaniola. Columbus's name was revived, and so he won in the end.